Hello, everybody, and welcome to our True Health webinar. We are so excited that you are joining us tonight. Tonight, guys, I have the incredible, the amazing Elizabeth Gillis of Regain Health and Balance. This woman has just so blessed me. You are just going to love to hear all that she's doing, how the water has helped her and changed her life, and what she's doing in her business. And also, welcome, Elizabeth.
Thanks so much for being here, Sharon. I appreciate the opportunity to come and talk about how excited I am about having Kangen Water in my life, and how it helps me and my family, and how I love it with my practice. And so I'm going to get into all of that. But the first time that I met you, we set up a one-on-one to do a little networking outside of the group that we had met. And I remember sitting down with you and you explaining the water, and I was just like, oh my God, that your water was more hydrating. And I was like pretty much sold right there. And my personal feeling was that I can't afford to not have this machine, because, proper hydration is just so vital for every single function of the body. So it was just a matter of, I ended up inviting you over into my clinic and having a little public lecture, and brought my husband along because, I can't make those decisions on my own. And he was sold too. So, and we've been just so happy having the machine to use every day. So for those of you who, out there in Facebook land who don't know me, I am a natural healthcare practitioner. I am a little out of the box. So I consider myself a modern healthcare practitioner because I just treat people very differently than most people are used to. But one of the techniques that I use very often in my practice is to help boost people's hydration levels, right? Because most people are not properly hydrated, and you have no idea how often I have to use this technique in my clinic. Like, it's all the time, because people their cells are just not properly hydrated. And sometimes that's because they simply don't drink enough water, but most of the times it's because their bodies just aren't able to utilize the water that they're taking in. So, and people know that being hydrated is good. They hear about it all the time, but they don't really realize what it does to their bodies when they're not properly hydrated. So I want to just kind of list off some of the symptoms of improper hydration. So that could be arthritic pain, impaired metabolism. So you're not going to burn your calories as efficiently, and your metabolic process isn't going to work as efficiently. You're going to be malnourished. Lethargy, headaches, general amplification of pain, cellular degeneration, poor coordination, even, believe it or not, lack of feeling joyful in your life is a sign of dehydration. So, like I said, people hear about the importance of hydration and they know that it's good for them, but they don't always know why. So our bodies are electrical, and water is the conductor of that electricity, sending signals through our bodies much more efficiently. So if you don't have proper hydration, the good stuff can't get into your cells, and the bad stuff also can't leave. So, imagine trying to flush a toilet with 1 cup of water instead of 1.6 gallons. It's not going to work that well. And a lot of people are living their lives like that with their hydration. They're just not. I tell people, you can drink all the water you want in the world, but if it's not actually getting into the cells, then you're not really getting the benefit from it.
That's a wonderful analogy. Thank you. Don't be stuck in
the
toilet, people.
but I mean, it really hits home, right? For people to understand the importance of why water is important in our lives. So, as far as talking about how I use it at home, gosh, it's like, where do I start, right? So number one, I love not having all those chemicals in my home. I was pretty good about trying to use more natural products, but it really doesn't get more natural than just using water. or water with salt solution and a little bit of an electrical charge in order to start mopping your floors and washing your toilets and, cleaning your carpets. And so I feel that, and I'm also financially conservative. I'm not cheap, but I definitely, like to make sure that my money goes into the right places. And so I really felt that I've saved a lot of money, not only from not having to buy products anymore, but even on my groceries, because before I was always buying everything organic, right? Because that was what had the least amount of pesticides. That was what had the least amount of chemicals. You weren't guaranteed that you weren't going to have it on even your organic produce, because they can't stop the air from flowing from 2 miles down the road. But it was the best option. And so now I'm not really buying as much organic produce, because now I can just soak everything in my Kangen water and it gets rid of all of that. So I'm saving money there too. So that's really wonderful. When my husband and I first started like regularly drinking the water, because you would supply me every time I saw you, you would give me my gallon, and I would hoard it, and I wouldn't share it with anyone in my family. That wasn't very nice, but I'm the one who knows you, so I figured I was justified.
You're not the only one. Let me tell you.
I bet I'm not. I bet I'm not.
Gold. They're like, it's not.
But one of the things that we both noticed, and I, was drinking good. Well, I'll get into that a little bit, but I noticed, and we both noticed, that when we first started drinking the water, we actually weren't eliminating fluids as much, because our bodies were actually holding on to that water and using it, and it was getting more into our cells. And I was like, wow, that was just really interesting for me. And we used to, so here in the town that I live in, we actually have pretty high arsenic levels. And so we had to put something, when we built our house, in process. And at the time, really reverse osmosis was the only, option that was out there for being able to be a solution. And, when we built our house years and years ago, we didn't really know how bad reverse osmosis water was. And I couldn't wait to get rid of it once I knew about the Kangen machine. But when I found out that, the reverse osmosis wasn't that good, what I was doing was I was doing like half of my well water that was unfiltered and half of the reverse osmosis water, and mixing them together. So that way my arsenic levels were, at a okay, range. And that's what I was doing for the longest time, until I got my Kangen water machine. So, I don't have to do that anymore. I can just go to one faucet at one spout and have my drinking water and know that it's going to be really good for me and my family. No more
arsenic.
Yeah. Right.
You hit a really good point. People think reverse osmosis is a good solution. Well, it gets the water very clean, but it strips it of everything, all minerals. So it's now completely dead. And your body can't digest water without minerals. So it strips your bones, your organs of minerals, but it doesn't redeposit them where they're supposed to go. They get deposited as kidney stones, gallbladder stones, bone spurs. People complain of leg cramps during the night. This is what I hear very commonly. And it makes the body very, very acidic too. So, we do, for reverse osmosis, we can work with reverse osmosis, but you need to have a remineralizer, because you have to have minerals in water for it to be water. Otherwise, it's not water.
Right. The other fun thing that I wanted to share with you is I would make big pots of bone broth, right, to drink, and I would just freeze it in like quarts in my freezer and make big pots and just put it away. And so I would make this bone broth, and I would let it cook for a long period of time. Like if I was making like it out of beef bones, then I would cook it for like 3 days, right, to really get the nutrients out of the bones. And the first time that I used the Kangen water to make my bone broth, I didn't think anything of it. I put on the stove, had it simmering for 3 days. I opened up the lid after the 3 days, and I was like, where are the bones? Like it broke it down so much more, right? Because the Kangen water gets absorbed into everything and will make everything more effective, that it literally disintegrated the bones and there was barely
Wow.
anything there. Yeah,
I've
isn't
never
that a
heard
funny
that.
story?
That's
And I
pretty
was like,
cool.
wow, this is like Superman bone broth. Now I just
Wow.
reduced the cooking time by like a whole day. But I just thought that was really funny because I went in there and I'm like, oh my God, like where are the bones? They're like practically gone. They've been completely absorbed into the water, and I've never ever seen that happen before. So
That's an incredible example of what we're trying to talk about, in that it allows you to absorb your nutrients and everything at such a higher level because of the small molecular structure, just like what it did for the bones. That's what it's able to help get in and out of the cells. So that's really incredible, Elizabeth.
yeah.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, you're welcome. And that was by pure accident. And all of my soups and everything, I don't have to cook them as long. And they're so much more rich in flavor. And they just
Yes.
seem so much more nutrient dense. And even the color of the broth, when I cook the same soups that I've always cooked, they just look different. And they taste a little different because they're just so much more nutrient rich. And I love that. I absolutely love it.
The flavors come out, like people don't
Oh,
understand, like
yeah.
even coffee, your coffee will go from here to here in flavor.
Yeah.
Like it's incredible. Now, do you use the 9.5 pH?
I
What do you
do.
use? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I go all the way. I go all the way. Yeah. And you know, the other thing is, just recently I had some oral surgery, and don't tell my doctor I did not fill the antibiotics, because I'm like, I don't recommend anybody do what I do. You know, you do what's right by you. And so I just used the 2.5, you know, because I had to do a salt solution anyway a couple times a day. So I just used the 2.5 and just rinsed that area, and then just followed it with the 9.5 after. And I mean, my gums are, you know, I had gum graft surgery, so that was actually a pretty big deal.
Wow.
The recovery for that is actually like 6 to 8 weeks total. And it really looks great. You know, and my gut is thanking me for that one, for not putting it on antibiotics.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, you know, people forget that 2.5 is a medical grade hypochlorous acid, and many dentists use this. It's been used, you know, in Japanese hospitals because it kills germs, but like 99.9% of all germs, like they clean and disinfect the hospitals with it. There's surgical equipment with it, yet it's not harmful to the body because it's completely natural. Like your own body makes it when you get sick. So it's incredible for gum health. We encourage people to swish. When I had horrible gum health. And I mean, they're forever saying you need to buy all the chemical products and all that stuff. So I started using the 2.5. I went back. They were like, what have you done? Like your gums, it was like massive transformation. And then I got lazy. And then another time that I went back, they were like, oh, your gums aren't looking so good. So I was like, it just shows how powerful this stuff is in any kind of infection, anything like that. It's going to kill it naturally without hurting you. So I think thank you. That's an awesome example.
You know, whenever I've been out, and, you know, because now it's COVID season, right? So it's like, even if you have an allergy, like, what's that? You know, and you're like, oh, I got a scratchy throat, and I'm gargling with the 2.5. Okay, I've got to tell you this story. It's kind of funny. So our oldest daughter, right? So we had gotten together with her and my grandbabies recently, and we had seen them, and then she calls us the next day saying that her brother-in-law got diagnosed with COVID, right? So I didn't realize that she hadn't been in contact with him. I just heard her talking to my husband on the phone. I'm like, oh my God. And I literally ran and I got this bottle, which I keep the 2.5 in, and I sprayed it up my nose. And my husband's laughing hysterically. He's like, and my daughter's like, what is she doing? He's like, she's literally sanitizing her nostrils right now because she heard that, you know, your brother-in-law has got COVID and she thought that you were exposed to him. But, you know, it's not going to harm me. So it's like, I mean, you probably don't want to do it every 5 minutes, like 25 times in a day. But, you know, to do it on occasion or a couple times a day, if you think that you're susceptible to getting some kind of viral thing is not a bad thing to do. And it's not like, spraying Lysol up there. It's not really it's not gonna harm you. So, and you can always do a rinse with the higher water levels after that too, if you're concerned about, the high, acidic or the low acidic number, of the water. But yeah, so those are just like a couple of things that I like run and do. And of course, I always keep this in my purse, and I'm like a hand sanitizer snob now, right? Whenever I go somewhere and they say you have to sanitize, I'm like, I got my own. Thank you very much. Yeah, but these little perfume bottles, they're really great. And I've even given them out to friends and stuff like that. And I put my little business logo on it so that they, people know where it came from. And so like every time I see them, they'll be like, okay, can I have a refill? And someday they'll get their own machines too, but for now I'm supplying them. So yeah, that's all fun. And as you can tell, I get pretty excited talking about it too, because it's just fun, and some of these stories that I have or my experiences are pretty funny. So yeah, so that's how it's changed my life, and how I'm not overly concerned because I have a tool and I have a solution to most challenges, whether it's, chemical exposure, and not having to worry about things leaching in through my skin or breathing them in, if I think, because this kills MRSA in 30 seconds, right? So it's like, well, why wouldn't it work on some of the other things that are out there perhaps? So, I'm an avid user, because it's chemical free. So gosh, you can't go wrong with that. And in my office,
if it's good enough for Japanese hospitals, I think
yeah,
it's good enough for us in
yeah.
our homes. We're not making any claims or anything, but we're just
yeah, that's my personal choice of my proactiveness. If I feel that I have any concern of, and it could be the common cold too. Nobody wants to get sick, right? So if you feel anything that's coming on, why not do something that's a natural solution? That's not going to hurt you.
I tell people, I'm like, when you start drinking the water, like you'll notice you're getting sick less and less, because not only is the water increasing your immunity, but if you feel the onset of anything, gargle with that. I come out of the grocery store, I'm spraying the 2.5 on my grocery bags. Like,
yeah,
you can just hose the house down with it.
I know.
And it's, it's not like Lysol that, you're breathing all that toxic chemicals in. You can spray it in the air. If you do have someone who's sick, you can spray and clean the air with it. It's just,
yeah. Like, and that's what I do in my clinic, right? Like I think about all of these health and wellness centers that are up and running, right? And, the regular doctor's offices. And we have to, with COVID protocol, we have to keep up certain standards, right? We have to make sure that our patients, clients, customers are all safe. But, a lot of these health clinics, they're using chemicals to sanitize, right? You're walking in, like I walk into my holistic dentist's office and they're wiping things down with, Clorox wipes, and they're using alcohol-based, hand sanitizers. And I'm just like, oh, and, and for me, it's almost an oxymoron, because yeah, you're boosting your health when you're there, but are you really? Because, they're spraying the air, they're putting all of these things. So the chemicals, even though their practices are holistic or natural or whatnot, the things that they're using to clean their offices with and to sanitize are not. So, I'm concerned that over time, a lot of people are going to end up developing respiratory issues because they're constantly spraying all of these disinfectants in the air. The particles are so small, they're getting into their lungs, they're doing damage that they don't even realize. Our skin is our biggest organ, so every time you're grabbing a cloth, and I remember, I don't know if you were there or not, but one time we were at a networking meeting and somebody was like, oh, I'm getting sick, and they pulled out a Clorox wipe and they were just like, and we're like, no, don't do that. It's like, what are you doing? Don't put that on your hands. Don't even touch your hands with it. So I feel better because not only do I offer the Kangen water as drinking water for my clients when they come into my clinic, but having the 2.5 water in a spray bottle is so super convenient. So I leave a little bit of a window in between all of my clients. Everything's by appointment only. And I just literally missed it anywhere that they were within close contact or they were touching. So every doorknob, I go in the bathroom, I spritz down all of the handles, the handrails coming in, the couch that they were sitting on, the chair that they sat on to take their shoes off, the reception desk counter. I just go and I just spritz it all down and it just evaporates. And I know that that area has been sanitized before the next client comes in. And so, I mean, that couldn't be more in jive with the way that I work and the way that I practice, because even the way that I clean my office supports the way that I practice. And, I don't have to worry about a client coming in and being sensitive to something that I use to clean, because people aren't going to be sensitive to water. I haven't, knock on wood, I have not come across someone who has an allergy to water yet. I just think that that's really great. And the other thing that makes me think of, and it's kind of mean, but I kind of laugh, these people that they're always doing updates. They're like, oh, still no sanitizing wipes at the grocery store, or none at here. They're in a panic because they can't get these disinfecting wipes. I'm like, you should have bought a Kangen machine. You would be all set, because then they could just make endless amounts of their own. But I mean, that's how I use it in my life, both professionally and personally. I just love it. I just love my machine. I just do.
We say once you go Kangen, you can never go back, because
yeah, absolutely.
It's so many waters, like what she's saying. We have the drinking water that absolutely changes your life. The 2.5 disinfectant water. I mean, you think how much money she would be putting out to try to disinfect her office all day long. And I mean, then you try to buy more natural stuff and it's even like 10 times more expensive. And here she just pushes a button and unlimited amounts for the next 25 plus years of this incredible water. And then she's talking about the 11.5 water for soaking your fruits and vegetables in. We also have do you ever use the beauty water for your skin and hair?
Mm-hmm. Yep, I do. I once a week I refill a little amber bottle and I use it, because I am getting a little bit older. So I use the hyaluronic acid drops, the serum. And that bonds to water. So I always have the bottle upstairs in my bathroom and I spritz my face and then I put the hyaluronic acid, because it bonds to that water, and that water is really good for my skin. So it's the perfect pH, and it's a nice toner, and it just, yeah. So I'm not touching the other stuff.
That's a great point. So our water being ionized is going to help to draw in whatever good stuff you're putting on your skin. Is going to help it to go in at a whole deeper level. And you look amazing, and you always, you always do. But guys, these waters, they will absolutely change your life. Elizabeth, thank you for sharing all of that. That's just so awesome and so exciting. And I meant to mention too, next week we are doing a cleaning challenge Monday through Saturday. We're going to post different parts of your house for spring cleaning. So one day is going to be your bedroom, one day the kitchen, one day the living room, and we're going to go live and show you guys how we use the waters to clean. Like in real life, we're going to be scrubbing stains out and all this, so that you can see, like, we're not just making this stuff up. Like, this stuff really does work. Like, it's just so incredible, just like what Elizabeth has been saying. So Elizabeth, do you have any final thoughts or comments, or?
Not anything off the top of my head. I mean, I love my machine, and I'm so grateful to have met you and to have made that, this investment in, my client's health, my own health, my family's health. And yeah, I'm a total water snob now. I am.
We all are. We're very, very spoiled. And this water, it really will change your life, guys. And, we can offer this to you. We have finance options for as low as even $1 to $2 a day, guys. the price of one of those awful bottles of water or even a cup of coffee. We have no credit check finance options. We try to make this available for anyone and everyone. And, you know, it's an investment that it just keeps giving, and it's going to pay you back over and over and over again. And they're built to last. I mean, they're Japanese. We say if you take care of them, they'll pretty much keep running forever. We don't really know how long, like there's some that are like 30, 40 years old, but we say usually about 25 years. But imagine, like, think how old you're going to be in 25 years. And this thing's going to still be making water, you know, versus you add up the cost of all the bottled water, all the cleaning supplies over the next 25 years. I mean, that's a lot of money that you can spend, or you can make a one-time investment and save that and protect yourself. You're investing in your health, protecting the environment, so many great things. So guys, if you have questions, if you're interested in more information, please reach out to us or reach out to the person that invited you to this webinar. But guys, we appreciate you watching, and we will see you again soon. Thank you again, Elizabeth.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
All right. Good night, everybody.